Hey girl, hey, welcome to my little recording studio. It's about to do some changing, but I thought I'd invite you in today. This is inside my little house. It's too hot to film outside, so here we go. I wanted today to talk to you about supplements, vitamin D3 and K2 specifically. Why are we talking about that today? Well, 3 years ago, I was sitting in my doctor's office and my doctor was like, yeah, your labs are normal. We hear this story all the time, right? But I knew something was off. I knew that I wasn't feeling good. And I knew that there were things that I could do to advocate for myself. So I began looking into what that was. And I started with vitamin D and K3. And what I know now is that normal and optimal don't mean the same thing at all. Like if you get told they're normal, you need to ask more questions and push for more answers. My vitamin D was absolutely deficient, but I had to get out of the doctor's office and go do some independent research on this because my levels were sitting at the very bottom of what was considered normal, which doesn't mean optimal for me because I knew they weren't. I knew something was up. So while maybe not technically deficient, also technically not helping me either. So something that we talk about a lot on here and I want you to think about is if your labs are coming back, whether it's hormones or vitamins or whatever you're testing, and it falls in normal, but you're not feeling good and you feel like you're falling apart, why do you think that is? And what can you do about it? So if you're here, I'm sure you know that perimenopause is the transition of years that leads up to your final period. The last day of your period is menopause. Everything after that is postmenopause. And this doesn't mean your 40s or your 50s. This could mean in your 30s. And I was definitely myself very active, very healthy, and very much in perimenopause in my 30s. This video is going to be one of many that are going to come out now from me about herbs and minerals and vitamins and things that you can supplement with at this stage of your life to help you, as well as taking things like peptides and HRT. We're not exclusive here. I'm not anti-HRT. I'm not anti-herbs or natural medicine. I'm actually almost done with my master's in holistic nutrition. So today we are going over vitamin D3 and K2 and what they are, what they mean, and what you can do with them. And I picked something that I'm sure you heard of if you're on social media or the news or the TV or anything, quite literally, D3 and K2. And K2 is a different form of vitamin K, and your body uses it differently than the traditional vitamin K. 3 years ago, when I went to the doctor, I thought my fatigue was just stress. I was trying to move across the country. I was sleeping on a friend's couch, and I had to chalk it up to my joints aching, to my training hard at that point in time in life. But it turns out that's not what it was. Turns out that a big part of it traced back to a nutrient that most of us assume that we have already covered because we take a multivitamin. I don't take a multivitamin. That's for another day. Vitamin D doesn't act like a typical vitamin. It actually acts like a hormone. Once your body converts it through your liver and your kidneys, it binds to receptors in tissue all over your entire body. Immune cells, brain cells, muscle tissue. So that's why a deficiency doesn't just show up as weak bones. It's going to show up as things like fatigue, low mood, brain fog, slow recovery from training. That is what is happening in perimenopause already, but imagine if you're going through the natural transition of perimenopause and your vitamin D is low, and let's say hormones are all over the place because they fluctuate in perimenopause. Your first source of vitamin D should be the sun. Yep, the sun. Your body makes vitamin D through your skin, and it's something that you can do naturally with the sun without supplementing first. So if you find out your vitamin D is low and you also realize, hey, I sit behind a desk and I don't get out in the sun all day, maybe it's time to change a little of that. Plus, getting outside for the sunrise and the sunset helps affect your mood, your sleep, and helps reset your circadian rhythm, which is something you might also be dealing with. A supplement should be considered a backup, not a replacement for low or missing vitamins or minerals, in this case specifically vitamin D. So it's something that is good for stages of life where it's not realistic for you to be out in the sun, or the sun's not up enough, or you're not getting enough of the sun's rays to make vitamin D in your body like you would if the sun were at full force, like in the summer, like it is right now, which is why I'm inside. Now, here's the part that matters specifically for you in perimenopause. So, microestrogen that we all have and is a very important part of perimenopause is at play here. And here's the part that matters specifically in perimenopause. Estrogen helps regulate how your body absorbs calcium, right? How it uses it. When estrogen starts declining and fluctuating, which happens well before your period changes, your bones begin to lose some of that protection early on, and you're probably not aware it's happening. Add a vitamin D deficiency on top of that, and you are compounding a problem that you quite possibly didn't know you had or could have. Now, here's where vitamin K2 comes in. And this is something that most people don't explain or explain correctly. So, we're going to do this. So, vitamin D's job is to help you absorb calcium. And generally, it does that job really well. But your body's ability to absorb calcium and know where to put it are two different jobs. That second job belongs to, any guesses? Vitamin K2. K2 activates a protein called osteocalcin, which is actually what binds the calcium to your bones. So without enough K2, you can raise your vitamin D, you can raise your calcium absorption, and still not get the benefit that you're looking for because the calcium is lacking a clear direction to go. Yep. And that is the whole reason we paired D3 and K2 here. That's the whole reason we paired this episode, D3 with K2, because K2 tells the calcium which room to walk into. And like most things, while there is gaps in research, we do have some good stuff here. There is solid evidence for the bone piece. So you might ask, what are the studied ranges on D3 and K2? I'm going to give you studied ranges here, not a prescription. You're going to have to talk to your provider for that. The general recommendation for adults, is 600 to 800 IUs. IU means international unit, per day. And that information comes from the National Institute of Health in 2023. But that number wasn't built with the hormonal transition in mind. Some physicians who specialize in the transition from premenopause to perimenopause to postmenopause, like Dr. Amy Shah, recommend closer to 2,000 international units per day. And that's for a woman in perimenopause. A woman post-perimenopause, so a woman in postmenopause, she's looking at more like 4,000 to 5,000 IUs per day, especially if that woman has tested severely deficient. Now, this comes with monitoring those levels as well. And worth knowing is the general tolerable amount of vitamin D you can take in a day. The tolerable upper limit sits at 4,000 IUs per day. And that's for most adults without medical supervision. For K2, the range that is paired with D3 is 90 to 180 micrograms per day. And that's the MK7 form, which is the form that your body holds on to for longer. Again, this is the studied range. This is not a prescription, and this is not me telling you to take anything. This is me just regurgitating what I have found through research. So, what does deficiency actually potentially look like? What does deficiency actually potentially look like? Persistent fatigue that doesn't go away no matter how much you sleep, a deep ache in your lower back or hips, muscle weakness, the kind where maybe stairs start to feel harder than they've ever felt and for no seeming reason, noticing that you are getting sick more than usual, a low mood that doesn't seem to have an obvious trigger. Any of that is enough to merit you asking for the test. All right, and as somebody who's almost done with a master's in holistic nutrition, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that supplements aren't the only way to get these in your diet. Now, granted, food sources are limited, but they are real. Fatty fish like salmon, tuna, and mackerel, mushrooms, egg yolks, and some things that are fortified with vitamin D, such as milk or orange juice. But you also have to monitor how the things are also going to affect what you're consuming, your blood sugar, etc. What I'm saying is don't go mainline and chug of orange juice. But sunlight is still the best and probably biggest source that you're going to get a vitamin D. Bare skin, no sunscreen, 15 to 30 minutes a few times a week. That's all you need. Of course, you don't want to go out on a cloudy day, like it's weather dependent, and skin tone actually also affects this as well. For K2, you're going to want to investigate fermented foods because that's where it shows up. Natto is a fermented soybean dish, and it is one of the highest concentrations by far. Beyond that, things like hard cheeses, egg yolks, and chicken livers carry small amounts. So if none of these are happening in your kitchen, because I can guarantee you chicken livers are not happening in my kitchen, that's exactly why K2 supplementation exists. So the general upper limit for D3 sits at 4,000 IUs per day, and that's without medical supervision. Toxicity typically shows up around 10,000 IUs per day, but that's taken over an extended period of time and can cause things like high calcium levels in your blood, nausea, kidney strain, and confusion. So, if you have a history of kidney stones, sarcoidosis, or any other condition that already raises your calcium levels, you're going to need to talk to your provider before you consider supplementation at all. K2 has its own cautions. If you're on a blood thinner like warfarin, K2 in any form, vitamin K in any form, can interfere with how this medication works. So this is absolutely a direct conversation with your provider. All right, now on to where to buy it, because that matters almost as much as anything. You're going to want to look for products that contain the USP or the NSF certification, because they don't have regulation like medication does. Quality varies a lot between brands. You're also going to want to look for third-party certification, which means they're doing third-party testing on their product, so you know exactly what's in the bottle, what's in the formula. And you're going to need to skip anything that's a proprietary blend that isn't listing exact amounts, and be wary of anything promising to fix every symptom you have. Okay, so here's what I would do if I was starting from zero. The first things first, I would go to get my provider. I would go to my provider and have them give me a blood test to check my vitamin D and K2 levels. If you already have a vitamin D supplement, I would go check the back and see if K2 is actually listed. I would see if it was third-party tested and go through the GMP and all of that I've told you to go look at. So you're going to need to do a little research if you already have one. I also want you to go see if you're taking a plain calcium supplement without D3 or K2 as well. Now, this is not a place to judge yourself, girl, because I took vitamin D3 plain by itself for eons and eons. Like, yeah. And it's not because I didn't read the label. It's that I didn't know, A, the value of it, B, the importance of it. I didn't even know about it. I mean, shit, I didn't even know how to eat once upon a time. So please rest assured I'm not telling you this because I have it all figured out. I'm figuring it out in real time with you. All right. If this is the first time you are hearing the perimenopause can start in your 30s, I built you something. It's called the 82 Symptoms of Perimenopause. It's only going to be up for another 10 days, roughly. It's coming down in September so that I can revamp it. It's a freebie. You can go to my website and all my profiles and find it and download it. If you are looking to have a coach, I'm back in the coaching arena around perimenopause and healthy habits. I have a 60-minute call where you can work with me on one, maybe two issues, identifying what they are for you in perimenopause, and working with me to figure out how to take your life back, how to feel better in your own skin. And if you're in the Grants Pass, Oregon area and you are looking for a private gym, hit me up. That is what else I'm building here as well. Now, if you haven't done something to love yourself today, please go do that. If you don't know what that looks like, there's no shame there. I only figured it out in my 30s as well. Send me a message. I'll help a girl out. Until next time, all my love, guys.